You gotta just tell me when we're live, please. Okay. Hey guys, this is Gabe of Big Man Comics. How you doing today? We're working on the Unstoppable Tyrus. This is page 93 out of 125. So we are cruising to get this thing done soon. And I hope you're all doing good. It sounds like there's a computer in my office that has the volume on. So I'm going to take a step to the left and turn that off because I can hear my own voice talking. It's driving me nuts. Oh, it's my wife's phone. Goodness. Okay, there. Turned it off. It's ridiculous. Hey, it's a free show. What do you want? Right. So how's everyone doing today? I'm doing very good. I got up very early. I don't usually sleep in. I'm not old, but I'm 46. The age I'm at now, I have finally mastered something I've always wanted to be good at. I am a night person and a morning person. I've always wanted to have both. Like most artists, I used to stay up very late and then you get up late and you feel terrible. To me, that is one of the worst feelings in life as far as getting anything done and discipline is waking up at, 9:30, 10 or 11 in the morning. To me, that just feels terrible. I used to do it too much, when I was younger. But now I can go to bed decently late, like midnight, and I can get up at, 6-ish if I have to, but, 7 or 8 o'clock and still have a full morning. But I do like the night and I like the morning. So I like to be a little bit of both, a night person and a morning person. But I was up very early today. I don't know why. I woke up I think it was 6 a.m. And I laid in bed for a little bit. And then I just said to myself, there's no point in just laying here. Might as well get going. So, but welcome in. Hit the like, hit the share, all that stuff. I need you guys. Can't do this without you. And we'll just have a good time here talking about art, talking about life, and just having fun. One thing I love to do, one thing that's really freeing for me, and you guys should try and practice it in your own life, is to just be honest about everything. Quit hedging. Quit saying what you think people want to hear, stuff like that. It's not going to help you to do that. I was listening to a guy today talking about freedom and how freedom is tricky with human beings. Like, you have to choose. If I do A, then I can't do B because, just the time and this and that. But one of the ways that we all take away our freedom is by not being honest about ourselves and what we desire and what we need and what we want. We hide that from other people for fear of, rejection, resentment, whatever, complications. And I think you take your freedom. I agree with him that you take your own personal freedom away by denying what you need, what you want, who you are, stuff like that. So it's kind of interesting to me to sit here and talk into a microphone, and I can't see any of you, obviously. But just speak freely. It's an interesting thing, and it's one of the aspects about this that I do enjoy is to just, I suppose, just to pontificate. But yeah, if people are coming in, please share the link. We can get more people in, and that is what will help grow it. Because in order to keep doing it and forever, we got to grow it, right? We don't want YouTube to just punish the channel and take away subs because YouTube doesn't like live streams as much as it likes recorded content. And I like live streams. I don't like recorded content nearly as much. So, but anything going on over there?
Yeah, Rem Dog says, hey Gabe. Jim Bob says, hey Gabe, nice chair.
Oh, thank you. It was inherited that from my mother. It's a chair that was in our living room growing up. My mom had our house decorated like the traditional home magazine, She had our house decorated really nice. And it was one of those things where you couldn't go sit on that furniture, just kind of, it was just there in the living room, but it was really it was a whole Queen Anne set, that really fancy couch and chairs and everything. And I remember the chairs were gold when I was a kid, the very chair I'm sitting on. And I've kind of just messed it up. It's just here in my office. But they took it to Tijuana one time. We live in San Diego. I still do. But when I was a kid, we lived here in San Diego. And my mom and my stepdad took these chairs to Tijuana and got them reupholstered really cheap. So I'm sure you could still do that, but yeah, you could get good work done for a fraction of the price it costs here. So there you go.
You were allowed to sit on those chairs for our pictures.
For like homecoming and different holidays and stuff like that. But typically it was like, stay off the stuff. But it wasn't a militant thing where she would yell at us to stay off. It was just kind of like understood. Don't go. And we didn't use that part of the house much. We had a pretty nice house when I was growing up. In a suburb in northern San Diego. had a big living room with one of those big ceilings where the ceiling goes up to the second floor in the living room, you know. And but we didn't go in there. We didn't use it much. We barely ate in there on some holidays and stuff like that. But yes, these are some old chairs that belong to my mom. And I don't know when I got them. I don't know when we got these. I don't know.
Maybe when we moved to San Diego.
I have no idea where my mom had these, and then we just ended up with them. So
Jim Bob said it beats the usual office chair.
yeah, well, I usually stand when I work, but working on drawing this book, I've been sitting here in this chair, sitting here just holding this iPad like this. This is how I've been working for a few months on this book. But when I was coloring comics full time, I was always standing at my computer, which is over there. My computer's over there. When I do the live streams with Jericho and stuff like that, I'm over there standing at my Mac. But I find I don't use the computer nearly as much now that I'm just drawing mostly and writing. I don't want to color comics anymore. That's why I hire people to do it, because I didn't burn out on it, but I colored so many thousands of pages over the course of like 15 years. I just don't want to do. I do not want to do it. If it's a cover, like I draw a cover or I hire someone to draw a cover for me, I'll color it because that's my privilege of, yeah, I get to be on the cover and I get to put my name on the cover. Sure, that's part of owning a business. You get that privilege. But other than that, I don't want to color. I don't want to color anything. You know, I've been offered coloring work by people and I just like, I'll quote you really high, you know, so, you know, you'll probably not hire me, but if you do, it'll be worth my time for doing something I really don't like doing anymore. So I'm not particularly proud of that. It feels snobby, but I don't mean it that way. But I colored so much, I just don't want to do it anymore. So.
We also have Antonius 707 says, "What up, Gabe and chat?"
Hey, Antonius, how you doing, bud? You know what? One thing I wonder about the people that come in the chat and show, clearly they're interested in art and stuff like that. I wonder, a few of them have said it, but I wonder if they have their own comics they're making, their own things they're doing. Like, I do wonder about that. Are any of them like designers or artists or things like that? That's a thing I've wondered about.
It's funny that you say that because Ramdog did 1138 came in and said, "Working on my cartoon for tomorrow."
Right. He does political cartoons. So I always see him post them on Twitter and stuff like that.
Don gets, quote, "Get smart Adams with snorkel gear and horsey inner tube pointing at 8647 saying naughty naughty."
It's 8647. Oh, I get it. I get it. It was that whole thing that the big freak Comey, that deep state guy, posting that he found some interesting seashells, and it was like 86 Trump. Yeah, okay. And then he went on TV to pretend he didn't know what it meant. That's how you know when someone's innocent, when they go on a television program to talk about how they were joking about a tweet. It's very normal behavior, right? You got to go on a whole TV interview on Jimmy Kimmel or Colbert or something to tell someone, hey, that tweet was a joke. That's how I know someone's totally innocent.
Well, you know how funny it is to joke about 86ing someone.
Oh, yeah. Hilarious. Really funny.
Jim Bob says, "Well, I'm a filmmaker and an animator, and I'm working on a character for a 3D animated short film as we speak."
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I never got into the computer modeling and the computer animation, all that. And I was always kind of interested in it. In college, I got a free download of Maya, which is the 3D animation software they used to make things like Ice Age and all that back then in the early 2000s. But I never messed with it more than like 10 minutes once. I realized that it was a whole other discipline outside of comics. So I had to pick. You can do anything in life. You cannot do everything. So, you know, there's opportunity cost in life, right? You're like, if I do this, I just don't have time to do that. So unfortunately, I never got into animation, which I've always been fascinated by. I love Disney and Walt Disney, the old Disney, not the new Disney, not the new stupid, ugly, weird Disney. Yeah.
I'll get back to Disney in a second. Antonia 707 says, "Not an artist, took art in high school. Just appreciate what you're doing. Keep it up."
Oh, I appreciate you, Antonio. This is very nice. Yeah, we always see Antonius when I'm live with Jericho and stuff like that. He's One of the good ones, one of the regulars, and you'll be excited this week, guys. We're doing a good movie. I love guilty pleasure for me to do bad movies on the show with Jericho because we could just make fun of them so badly. But we're doing the original 1977 Star Wars, so that should be really fun because that was the original touchstone for me as a creative person. The first thing I loved was Star Wars, and especially the original one, and drawing those as a kid, constantly playing with the action figures. It just filled my imagination. Star Wars. It was the original thing that just filled my imagination with wonder. I just got back from Mexico City on a vacation with my family. We went there for like 3, 4 days. It was amazing. And we were riding on, every time I ride on an airplane, I remember this. I went to Hawaii when I was probably 4 or 5 years old, and I had a coloring book of Star Wars. And I remember the cover. It was like red, and it had Princess Leia and Chewbacca in a scene from Cloud City from Empire Strikes Back. And it was a black and white Star Wars coloring book, and I loved it. And I left it in that pocket in the seat on the plane where the barf bag and the warnings about the emergency landing stuff and all that. I left it in there. Never saw it again. And we were like in the van on the way home from the airport. I remembered that I had left it in the airplane. True tragedy. And I had another one like that. The Legend of Zelda, the original video game on the Nintendo from 1986, I believe, had this amazing instruction book, with the controls and the monsters and some tips about the game. And I left it at the White Spot Cafe in Denver, Colorado when I was about 8 or 9 years old. I'd gone there for lunch with my grandparents, and this little book I loved, I left it there. Never saw it again. So very sad. But I did find a PDF of it online and downloaded it. So I do have a copy of the Nintendo Legend of Zelda guide. I do have it. So it wasn't all lost. But
I was saying we'll get back to, because you were saying not the ugly Disney and all that. What about the video we watched, those new keys that you get at?
I can't even explain that. You guys know what those weird Disney adults are, right? These people that are, I don't know, strangely obsessed with Disneyland and eating all the food and like, I don't know. But there's some gizmo you can buy. It's $60. It's a giant key with a D on the end for Disney for the 70th anniversary of Disneyland, which is coming up, I think, July. It's early July. It will be 70 years of Disneyland, California. And you pay $60 for this key. They should have charged 70 since it's the 70th anniversary. You pay $60 for this key, and then you take it to various parts throughout the park, and it plays like a little jingle, and then you can win a pin. Or there's already a pin inside the key, but the pin only unlocks when you hit enough of these stations. So this is very bizarre to me, and I think it's not good. I think it's bad. I don't want to crap on people's fun, but it seems very weird to me.
It looks boring, though.
It looks dumb. It does look dumb. Let's just say it. It looks stupid. But I think they know, and I think it's good business on the Disney corporation's part. Like they know they can get that money out of those people, So they do. I think it's weird as hell, but they know they can get that money, so they get it. So, yeah. But we're working on a page here. The good guys have escaped the dungeon that the bad guys have, and then these two mana beasts show up. These are good guys, though. Most of the mana beasts are evil. If you love Ninja Turtles and you love Incredible Hulk, this is the book for you. If you love superhero stuff, but I was a huge Ninja Turtle fan. I was a Star Wars fan at first, and Star Wars was everything for me from my earliest memories, 3, 4 years old, whatever, until I saw the Ninja Turtles in like 1989 or 90. And then the Ninja Turtles jumped in front of Star Wars for me. I couldn't believe it. I loved it. I remember going to, it was called the Price Club back then, but it's now the Costco. And they had a 4-pack of Ninja Turtle graphic novels out right when the movie came out in 90. Still one of the great comic book movies. Still holds up, actually. And it's, I think, one of the most faithful adaptations of a comic. It really sticks to the comics. But I remember just drawing Ninja Turtles and making my own comic that was sort of a ripoff of the Ninja Turtles. Copying some of the drawings on the Ninja Turtles book to put in my own comic when I was a kid. And that just really blew up things for me was Ninja Turtles. That I started getting into comics kind of after that, like a year or two after that. I started getting into Marvel and DC, but mostly Marvel because of Jim Lee and X-Men and all the stuff that was trendy with the big explosion with Rob Liefeld. And I just remember Todd McFarlane's Spawn and all that stuff. It's hard to believe that that was, 35 years ago. That's crazy to think about and where the industry has gone since then. And I think one of the worst things to ever happen to comics is for Hollywood to get heavily involved. I think all these movies have hurt the business rather than helped it. It hasn't helped sales. I mean, sales are like at all-time lows. And I think it has perverted and destroyed the concept of what a comic book is and why it's such a beautiful art form. I think Hollywood, like always, cheapens and messes things up, because there's so much money to be made in Hollywood, and then that's all people can see. They can't see the art for the sake of the art anymore. And I think that's a very bad thing. And I think that's really happened in comics because of the whole Hollywood thing. So I don't know. That's just my 2 cents on it. I think comics would be better off if they never got in bed with the movies and all that. I am strangely optimistic, and I don't care that much. I'm not invested. But I have a sneaking suspicion the new Superman movie is actually going to be good. I actually have a sneaking suspicion that's going to be true. So I don't know. Is anyone out there interested in that? Or you guys just like hate the DCU movies? Because I feel like the DCU movies have always been like kind of mocked and made fun of, and that's the nerdy one, and Marvel was the cool one. Although no one seems to like Marvel movies anymore. I always hated them, so you're welcome. I was right about that. But you guys out there, what do you think of the upcoming like Superman and all that? I do have a feeling it's actually going to be a good movie. And I don't know what I'm basing that on. Maybe because I don't want it to be.
So Randall says, I think the move to the direct market was a terrible move too, indie comics aside.
Right.
And he says, I'm on the fence about the upcoming Superman. Antonia says Mark Miller was saying same on Neurotic earlier.
What was he saying? That he thinks it's going to be good? I think it's going to be good. I think it actually looks good. Nothing they've shown, like in their little trailers or whatever, looks woke. So if it's just heroics, a lot of people love Superman, and if it's just heroics, okay, it'll work then. They go woke and he starts fighting, white supremacy or, disinformation by authoritarians. Like, okay, we get it. You don't like Trump. Oh my God, talk about something else. But they haven't shown anything like that, So I do think it's weird that they weren't able to capitalize on Henry Cavill as Superman. I mean, that's just like gross incompetence. You have this guy that's one of the best looking Supermen ever. You couldn't do anything with him. It's amazing.
Yeah, they dropped the ball on that one.
It would be like being a basketball coach and you had Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson. You had the 1992 Dream Team, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, David Robinson, Michael Jordan. You had all, and you couldn't win. That's what it's like. Having Henry Cavill as your Superman and you can't do anything, it's actually kind of impressive. You could be that incompetent. So whatever.
The mob seat says, I always thought Marvel and DC would be better off without Warner and Disney being their sugar daddies.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said there. I mean, it helps a lot to have them. It gives you financial backing. You can try all kinds of books and they don't need to make money. But that becomes a double-edged sword, right? Because then if you don't need to make money, how hot is the fire under your ass, right? So if you can take it a little too easy, that's not a good thing. So yeah, it's creative freedom, but yeah, they'll make a profit, they won't make a profit, whatever. So I think if you have that much security with the big money behind you, you need the best managers possible. You need people who passionately need to feel like the art has to work. There's this photo. I don't have it in front of me. I had it on my phone, but I can't access my phone right now because my phone is the camera. But it's a famous photo of a guy playing jazz saxophone at some concert in the 50s or the 60s. and the crowd is right there at his feet. They could touch him if they want to. And he's laying back and he's blowing in the sax, and there's two guys in front of him watching him play, and they look like they're enraptured in joy and pain. Like they can hardly stand how beautiful the music is. It's going to blow them out of the building. I'll have to post this picture later. But that's how I feel about making art. My only goal with the art is really it has to be the best I can do, and it has to exist. So to me, it's like, yeah, we have art and commerce. I get it. Those two things are always kind of in opposition, or they can be in opposition, like, but to me, I find a way to make them work together, art and commerce, where we use the motivation of, well, if I want to make this art and make these statements and influence people and better their lives, then I have to make money. Because if you don't make money making art, well, then you got to go to get a different job, and then you don't have time to make art, really. So that's that's how I frame it in my head. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to just be crass and put the money first and just do things that I don't mean, things I don't care about, because that will come through in the work too. I was talking to a potential client today. There's a guy out there that's got a great job for me on the side. Not a big man comics thing, but something I don't think I can turn down. And I called him on the phone to tell him, hey, I read the material you sent me and I loved it. And I told him, sometimes you take work and it's just work, because we're good at what we do and we need money and stuff. And you don't hate it, and you still do as good a job, but it's not as fun because you don't love what you're doing. You're just like, okay, I'll do it. I mean, I'll be honest, there are many comics I did for DC Comics, all that. I didn't love them. I didn't hate them, and I did not do a bad job. I mean, shit, 3 of the books I worked on for them were Eisner nominated and 2 won. You don't have Eisners behind your name if you're a hack. But it's different when you love what you're doing. And that's the blessing of what I'm doing with Big Man Comics. Thank all of you for supporting me, because now I only do what I want artistically. But this freelance gig is really, really something right up my alley. It's my values. It's the kind of work I like. And but I liked the material too. He explained it to me and I thought it was pretty good. But then he sent it to me and I started reading it, and character bios and concept. Oh, I do like this. Is actually, so I called him to tell him that today. So, and that's an important thing because you say, I think one of the problems that is happening in Hollywood and all this stuff is you have a lot of people working on this stuff because it makes a lot of money and they don't love it. And I think the a number one example of that is the SJWs, right? They don't love these video games and movies and they actually hate them. They actually resent them because they hate anything beautiful or successful or whatever, because they're weird, insecure, narcissistic people who are working out their mental illness in public on your favorite characters. They're using your favorite characters to work out their own mental problems, and that's not great. And they don't love it. They don't love Wonder Woman, or they don't love, fill in the blank, Buzz Lightyear, Spider-Man, whatever. They don't love them, so they don't do a good, passionate job. You have to want to, it's too far to say die for this stuff, but you know what I mean. You have to want to go all the way and do your absolute best job because it matters to you. It should matter to you. So I think that's a huge problem in entertainment. As someone that worked at Warner Brothers forever, there was a lot of people there that were doing time, and they didn't really care about the stuff. They had bigger plans in their opinion, and it's just whatever, Mr. Miracle, whatever character, and they didn't really care. So, and that's why you see some what you see. Because I do think you fans probably wonder why would you get Superman and do a bad job? Why would you do this and do a bad, like, aren't you thrilled to work on it? And I'll tell you, most of the comic book creators are big fans, but there's a decent number of them that are not fans of this stuff, and they're just good at it, right? They're good at writing, they're good at drawing, whatever. And I think if you find people that have power to affect these things and they don't passionately care about it, they're not going to do a great job. It's going to be all about them instead of honoring the material and honoring the people that came before you and stuff like that. So I don't know. That's just my opinion on it. I could be wrong. I'm not a mind reader.
So just going back to Henry Cavill, the mob says that Henry Cavill lacked charisma.
Did he, or was the script writing and the direction bad? And I'm not saying I disagree with you. His Superman did not have any zing. He didn't have any personality or anything. But was it crappy writing? Was it crappy directing? I don't know. Because I've seen Henry Cavill in other things, and he's pretty cool, you know. I think he has to be James Bond. He has to. Amazon just bought James Bond from the Broccoli estate. Yes, that is really the last name of the people who own James Bond. They paid, I think, over $1 billion. So now they have full creative control of James Bond. Whereas Barbara Broccoli, she was the daughter of the main producer of James Bond back in the 60s and all that. I forget his first name. But she and her people, they sold it to Amazon just in the last few months. And I just think you got Henry Cavill, you got James Bond, and what they need to do is set it in the 60s in the Cold War and go back to it. Would be so great to do James Bond as a period piece like that. I think that's the only way you do it. Forget the modern stuff. Forget, oh, James Bond has a TikTok account. Like, no. Would you put Conan the Barbarian now? No, like the setting is a big part of it. And I think the people who have been, caretaking James Bond for years have screwed up, not realizing that the Cold War is a big part of that. It's such a big part of it. There's a beautiful estate in Jamaica called GoldenEye, and that's where Ian Fleming lived for a while. And then there's that one James Bond novel, and there's the video game and the movie called GoldenEye. But did you know Sting of the Police wrote the song, what's it? Every move you make, every step you take, that song, I'll Be Watching You. He wrote that at GoldenEye. He rented that for a while and stayed there because he was trying to get away and like get his head cleared. I'm not a big fan of the Police or Sting or anything, but I just learned that online last. I was watching some video about top 10 hits of 1983, and this guy who was a big music historian was talking about that Sting had rented that GoldenEye estate where the James Bond stuff was written. Isn't that fascinating? So that song was written like at the same desk as a lot of the James Bond material. I don't know. I find that fascinating.
Let's see here. Sorry.
It's all right.
Stuff here. Mob C says, I think if Marvel and DC were independent, they couldn't have gone woke because the financial effects would have bankrupted them.
Well, they could have gone woke and then gone bankrupt. So I agree with you halfway. Because look at like the other smaller publishers that have done it. And I worked for them while they were doing it. Like you got your Aftershock and your Valiant, IDW, all these things. Those are independent companies, and they went woke, and they have paid the woke price.
Yeah. Going out of business.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great.
Courtney says, congrats on the freelance gig.
Yeah, it should be fun. It's not a huge job. I can fit it in with what I'm doing with everything else. It won't delay anything. Like Tyrus is still going to come out when it's going to come out, and Imperium and all that. But I couldn't pass it up. It's an illustration gig, which is my number one passion. My number one passion is drawing. Although I'm a writer and a colorist and everything else, my number one passion is drawing, and this was just a really fun illustration job. So, and just kind of came out of nowhere. Guy messaged me on Monday, and we've been talking since. And it's a good job. It's the kind of job I would take now, because one of the great things about being independent like this and having make good money on in indie comics is I don't need these jobs. I don't have to take them. People offer me stuff, and I quote them, a pretty good price because I don't need to do it. So if I'm going to do it, I want to be paid well. In the old days, I would say yes to stuff that was kind of shabby rates. Page rates sometimes. So that's another thing that's great about this one. Is the pay seems to be pretty good. But if you're listening, guy that wants to hire me, I'm going to negotiate for more, just so you know. And it's only because I respect you, because I know you're a serious businessman. So I would never disrespect you and not negotiate for more. I would never do that. So.
Antonio 707 says, Paradise Christopher Lee, do your best regardless how badly the script is written. I think that's in regards to Henry Cavill not having charisma.
Does he not have charisma? Does he? Because I kind of feel the same way, but I'm like, I don't know, those Justice League movies and all that, those kind of suck, those movies. Because Because okay, look at like Liam Neeson, Natalie Portman, Hayden Christensen, all the people in the original those '90s Star Wars or the late '90s, early 2000s Star Wars. If you only saw those movies, you would think those people couldn't act, right? Qui-Gon Jinn and Anakin Skywalker and Padme and all the characters from the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones. If you just saw those movies and I told you that's those actors, you would say, "Oh my God, these people can't act. They're great actors. All those people are great actors." Those movies were horribly written and terribly directed. Ugh. I remember going to see The Phantom Menace with my brother at midnight when it came out in 1999. And I couldn't believe it. Because when I was a little boy, like 7 or 8, I found out that was it. Return of the Jedi, no more Star Wars ever again. And I was upset about that for years. And then you find out they're going to make some new ones. And you finally get to the theater. You're sitting there, the popcorn, you've been waiting I remember waiting all day to get tickets out in the sun, sitting on the sidewalk. Went and saw Star Wars and just was thrilled. Loved it while I watched it. And after about a day or two after seeing it, I was like, that sucked though. Like we were so excited. I remember when Lucasfilm came on the screen, sitting next to her, I'm like, whoa, when it came up on the screen. And we went back and saw it again. We saw the movie and then we went back like an hour later and we saw it twice in one night and just thought it was the best thing in the universe. And a couple days later, thinking about like, wait a minute, this sucked. This was lame. It was boring and stupid. And yeah, not good. I see people trying to defend it, saying, "Oh, they've aged well." No, they haven't. The Disney ones are just so bad; it's making them look good. They're terrible movies. The early 2000s, late 90s Star Wars are terrible movies. Those are horrible movies. It turns out there's only 3 Star Wars movies, and I'll fight anyone that says Return of the Jedi is a bad movie. Good movie. Just because you don't like Ewoks because you're too mature.
Antonia 707 says, yes, Henry as 007 would be great. And Courtney says, Barbara Broccoli sounds like a Bond chick.
Right.
And then the Mopsy says, isn't Whoopi Goldberg going to be the next James Bond?
Why do you even say something like that? Put that out in the universe. Now it's going to happen because of you. And let me guess. She's going to have to stop a white nationalist, right?
Oh, boy. Jim Bob says James Bond as a period movie is a great idea. Courtney says GoldenEye was the first Bond I ever saw in the theaters.
The first one I ever saw, and he's underrated as hell as one of the greatest Bonds ever. Timothy Dalton in the Living Daylights, I believe it was. He did too, the License to Kill and the Living Daylights. And he looks great too. Because one of the things about Bond is obviously the charisma, but you got to have the look. You got to be that handsome, masculine, but not like a football player, tough guy, like a big brawler, but it's that lean guy, that lean, muscular guy. He's not overly muscular, but looks good, and obviously the best Bond is Sean Connery. He's by far the best Bond. He has the most charisma, and that's a big thing that Bond needs is charisma. Does Henry Cavill have charisma or not? Is it the Justice League movie suck, or is Henry Cavill a stiff? See, now I don't know. I'm wondering.
The Mopsy says, in my point of view, it is, but in my point of view, this in quotes, it is the Jedi who are evil. Terrible writing.
Ugh.
Courtney says, it was so bad. I was so disappointed.
You didn't love it the first day? Because I was delusional the first day. It's like, this is amazing. Went back and saw it. Was ranting about it for like a day or two. And then it just kind of like, that didn't make sense. And why is the kid a pod racer? That's kind of boring. And Darth Maul, he really didn't do anything besides die. And you just start to think about it more and more. It's like, this is a first draft. They needed to rewrite this. And I don't hate Jar Jar Binks as much as everyone else does. I get the joke. I get it. I get the joke with Jar Jar. He's supposed to entertain children with his wacky ways. I don't know. That's the thing when you grow up. Like you loved some music in high school, something like punk rock or whatever. And then you listen to it as an adult, and you're like, they're no good. And what you always have to tell yourself is, yeah, they may have changed. The band may have changed, but I've changed. And I don't care about those things that I cared about in high school that I thought were so important and whatever. And it's like, it doesn't speak to me anymore. So, like, how much did Star Wars change and how much did I change? How much did we change as people? Because when I saw Star Wars the first time, I'm 3 years old, right? So, spaceships, aliens, like, of course I liked it. So, I wonder if I had seen The Phantom Menace in 1999 and I was three, I'd probably love it still. Because I know my kids kind of like those. My kids like those Star Wars movies because they were little kids when those came out. So, you know,
Yeah, but I think people watch the original Star Wars now and they become fans as as adults, like if they've never seen it before.
yeah, I think in business school they will study decades from now how Disney fumbled owning Star Wars. Because owning Star Wars is quite literally like owning the Denver Mint. You can print your own money if you own Star Wars, and they can't figure it out, Disney. It's amazing. It's amazing how the guys are such wimps and the feminist woke people boss them around and everything's going to be woke and stupid and they can't make a dime off that franchise. Dude, if I owned Star Wars, I'd just be sitting on a beach drinking out of coconut constantly. Oh, you don't have to do anything. It's that old Ron Popeil, the late night infomercial guy that would sell food dryers, food dehydrator. He'd be like, set it and forget it. That's owning Star Wars. Like, yes, Han Solo, he's a brash ladies man, badass. You have all these bounty hunters. That's fun. That's like a Western. You got Darth Vader. Like, how could you own that and not make money? It's really amazing. I would really like to see like a real serious business person break this down. How do you screw this up? How do you let your love of wokeness outpace your love of money?
Right.
It's like, I get you're woke and you're a hero and you're going to save every minority or whatever the hell you think you're doing. Don't you love money? Don't you love money enough to know that if you just give people the classic Star Wars, you'll be rich beyond your wildest dreams? I don't know. I don't know how you screw that up. It's really, really remarkable. So it's like the Henry Cavill thing. You had one of the best looking Superman, and you like, yeah, let's just make shitty Superman movies. So, and I remember I felt for that thing on the first Superman movie too in 2013. I liked it. Now looking back, like, no, that's stupid, that movie. The part where the tornado's coming and his father says, "Don't save me because I don't want anyone to know your identity." So he just lets the tornado eat his dad and kill him. That's horrible writing. That's terrible writing. You could have got that point across some other way. Like, no one would do that. Like, yes, you obey your father. You wouldn't obey your father if he said, "Hey, let this tornado blow him away." You wouldn't. You'd be Superman. You'd fly in there and save him. Sorry, that's dumb writing. And then breaking Zod's neck. That is stupid. Superman's not a killer. Get out of here. It's dumb. Dumb.
Um, Courtney says, "I agree, and I love Return of the Jedi. I used to return the Jedi sheets, but that's our age group, Gabe."
Right. Hey, okay, if you're Star Wars lovers out there like me, I need you guys' help because I've looked online. People have told me stuff and they've lied to me. I want the Star Wars I grew up watching. The version you could get on Fox video cassette in 1985, 86. I want that. I don't want the special edition 1996 with the dumb added computer graphics and, he didn't shoot first. I don't want that, and I can't find it anywhere. And I know they intentionally don't make it because, like, George Lucas, it's his movie and he changed it, and they don't want to sell you that one anymore. I know someone out there knows where I can find this. I want the old ones because I don't know whatever happened to mine. They're probably in the attic somewhere or something. I don't know. But I want those so badly. And my wife got me some last year because someone had told her, "Oh, yeah, the old versions are on these DVDs." They're not. I watched them. They're not. The PlayStation 2 graphics are on the DVDs with the added monsters and the stupid shit added. So if anyone out there knows how to get the good Star Wars, the original releases on like DVD, Blu-ray, where can that be found? Because that's what I want.
Yeah, that's been hard to find. I think we still have the VHS tapes of the original Star Wars, but we don't have a VHS player.
No, the VHS we have are the special edition.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, which sucks. But I have the old Fox VHS I got as a kid. I just don't know where they are.
Well, we have 2 sets on the bookshelf.
I know what they look like. The ones I'm looking for from my childhood, I know what they look like. They have these painted covers. They're not the ones we have on the bookshelf. So
Antonio says it's the VHS black box version.
I have the black boxes with the big faces on them. Those are special edition. Those have the stupid added effects. There's these old Fox VHS ones. It says like Fox and CBS on the side. And I have them. I remember getting one for Christmas in 1988. I remember getting Empire Strikes Back for Christmas in 1988, 87 or 88. And we had the other ones before that.
The mob seat says, I think there's a 4K non-upscale bootleg online. And I think that's what I thought I would find.
There's a guy, he's like Polish or Czechoslovakian. He's got a whole website where he's despecializing them. So he's like taking the new versions and removing the stuff and trying to make it like the old. See, this is another thing. I said that they will study this in business school for decades. You got to give your customers what they want. If Disney doesn't understand that there are quite literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people in my age group, Gen X, we are the Star Wars fans. We are the ones who were kids when that came out. Not boomers, not millennials. It belongs to Gen X. Guess what Gen X has now? We have money. We have money. Would you just put out the ones I want so I can give you money? You like money, right? So just put out the ones I want that other millions of other Gen X people want. Just put them out. Why do I have to be frustrated about this for like the last 20 years? Stupid. Someone told me there was a British like Laserdisc version that had it. But I'm going to go look for that. Where would I even start looking for that?
British?
Someone said there was a British release of a Star Wars Laserdisc that had all the original versions. Like, really? Okay, well, I'll get right on that. I don't know. I don't know what the Disney people do. I don't know what they think. I don't know what goes on there. I do know they send me royalties like twice a year for my Star Wars work. Just so you guys know, I'm part of the Star Wars universe because I worked on 24 issues of the comic. And now Mickey Mouse has to send me a check twice a year. So there you go.
Antonio 707 says Star Wars Episode 1 was disappointing when I saw it in the theater. Favorite is Return of the Jedi and Empire is objectively a better movie. You and Jericho should review the Ewok Adventure movies.
Those are not great movies. Those were TV specials. The Battle for Endor, the Ewoks and the Battle for Endor, and then another Ewok movie. I saw both of those as a kid and loved them because it was more Star Wars. So.
Courtney says the OG VHS from 1977 is going for $250 to $300.
Where?
I assume online.
Risky though. You know, you go on eBay, you pay all that money, and then it's not. You know what I mean? The guy's a liar or some shit.
She said on eBay.
Okay. Well, first I got to get my Batman jacket off eBay. So.
The rhinestone.
The rhinestone airbrush gangster jacket from the '89 Batman. So, but yeah, I gotta find the original Star Wars. Very upsetting that they make it this hard. It feels like a personal attack, frankly. Mickey Mouse is out to get me. All right, Gabe. We know what you did. Excuse me.
Let's see. Courtney says, I know the guy who owns the store in the mall here called back to the 80s. He has everything Star Wars. I'll ask him.
Okay, ask him. But he better not be full of beans. I've already had my heart broken a few times about trying to find these Star Wars originals.
The Mopsy said, Return of the Jedi is what inspired the Star Wars holiday special.
Get out of here. Are you serious? Return of the Jedi is still good, though. No, wait a minute. No. That's out of order. The Return of the Jedi came out after the holiday special. The holiday special came out right after the first movie and before Empire Strikes Back. Hold on, my ride is here. No. The holiday special came out before Empire Strikes Back. The holiday special came out like in 1979 or 78 or something like that. So it couldn't have been inspired by Return of the Jedi. Unless I have that wrong. I don't know. I think the holiday special is still better than anything Disney's done with Star Wars. So
I've never seen it.
it's legendary. It's imagine the cringiest thing you can think of and then multiply that by 1,000. It's like it was a money grab by the television station, just slapped together. And like Harrison Ford and Luke and Leia, they could not look like they want to be there less. They look so humiliated and furious that they're doing this. There's some singing numbers.
Oh,
the premise of the whole show is Life Day. It's like Christmas, but since it's Star Wars, they can't say Christmas like we do. So they're celebrating Life Day on Chewbacca's home planet. And we find out Chewbacca has a whole family, his mom and dad and like a little brother or something like that. And it's really insane. It's like a cocaine-fueled fever dream is what it seems like. It's really something. I think this is before they knew precisely how dangerous cocaine was when they made this.
Oh, possibly.
Yeah.
Antonio's said holiday special is terrible. It's funny.
Yeah, it's so bad it's funny though. You could probably only watch it once because it's just I haven't even seen the whole thing. I've seen many clips online and it doesn't seem real. Like who in the world would do this? Like someone who does not get Star Wars at all. One thing about Star Wars that I really think, and this is a controversial opinion, I think Star Wars is pretty thin though. I don't think there's a lot of meat on the bones. I think what is there is great. What is there is outstanding in Star Wars, but I don't go for all the expanded universe and all that stuff. I don't think any of that is really any good. I think it's all crap and it's all just so derivative. I'm not Darth Vader. I'm Darth Later. This isn't Han Solo. This is Mon Molo. All of it feels like that. All the Star Wars. It's just like, okay, you're just copying what already happened. You're not saying anything new. And, it's like Darth Cad, Darth Bane, Darth this, and, Jabba the what. And it's like, okay. It just, I don't know. Star Wars was what it was. It was 3 movies, and they should have never made anything else. They really shouldn't have. It's just, none of it, to me, none of it works. To me, it's all bizarre. So, I'm not a fan. And I never read the extended universe books really or anything. And my brother was sort of into the comics, and I didn't really like them. I'll say this though, and I run into pushback on this, but I know it's really nerdy people that don't like when I say this. The best thing about Star Wars is the Western aspect, the cowboy aspect. Han Solo, the smuggler, the bounty hunters, the cantina, the rebels, the spying. That I find the Jedi's and all that utterly boring. Makes me want to sleep. I hate the Force. I hate the Jedi's, the lightsabers, all the mystical bullshit. I like to that part. To me, it's for the birds. I love the gritty stuff, the stuff that comes off like a Western. I like that part. But the just the whole mystical whatever samurai thing, no thanks. No thanks. It's too dorky.
Antonio says Carrie Fisher would put that movie on when she was done with her guests to get them to leave her house. The Mopsy says, isn't Harvey Korman from the Carol Burnett show in drag in the holiday special?
Yes, he is. Yeah, inexplicably he is. Yes. Is he the guy that's like in drag and doing a cooking segment, right? I think it's supposed to be like a space Julia Child, but like, why not hire Julia Child? I don't know. It's a man dressed like a woman in a galaxy far, far away. So, you tell me. I don't know.
Sounds lovely.
It's really bad. It's really bad. It's one of those things that seems impossible. If you didn't know it existed and I explained it to you, you would tell me that didn't happen. That's not real. But no, it's all too real. And they tried to hide it for years. And the only thing that brought it back, to much to their shame, is the internet. because they never made a DVD, a VHS. They never replayed it on TV. They're just like, yeah, that never happened. And then, of course, someone somewhere had recorded it, and maybe someone at the TV station had copies, or people at home had recorded it, and it blossomed on the internet probably 10, 15 years ago. People started saying, do you remember this? It's like, oh my God, yes. I didn't see it when it came out. Obviously, I was a year old when it came out. So, yeah, I never heard of it until 15 years ago or 10 years ago, whenever everyone started talking about it online. It was something else. But I think that's the thing about art. Like, a lot of people are always in awe of artists, and the skill is so amazing. And well, they ascribe all these basically supernatural attributes to artists. And what you don't realize about a lot of art, a lot of it's not that good. It's better than most people could do, but it's just fine. A lot of it, it's fine. Not groundbreaking. I was thinking about this concept the other day. Like, I really love older movies. I love the mid-century thing, stuff in the 50s and the 60s. And I was like, why were movies better? And then I realized they weren't better necessarily. And what I'm having is the survivorship bias, right? So the decades go by, everyone's seen all these thousands of movies, and they've been able to parse out, here's the good ones, here's the bad ones. So for every Breakfast at Tiffany's, there were 30 horrible movies made the same year, right? But we don't remember them because they're horrible and they got forgotten. So that was kind of a revelation I had recently. Like, oh, was it necessary? I mean, they weren't woke like we are now, which is terrible. Well, we're not woke, but they are. But I don't know that the quality was necessarily better. I just think we've distilled down things from the past and said, this is what we're going to remember and keep, and this is what we're throwing away. So it makes it look better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Could be wrong about that. It's just a theory. Just a thought I had, thought experiment the other day. Because whenever you're trying to analyze everything, it's always a bit of a challenge to know what you're analyzing. When you're trying to logic something out, my brother and I were talking about how illogical people can be sometimes, and it's that concept of, oh, well, whenever the ground is wet, it rains.
Yeah.
A lot of people do logic like that, where they do it backwards.
I don't know. Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
But yeah, I was thinking that about older movies being good. Like, well, maybe they're better, but maybe we've picked through everything and we know what to watch and what not to watch from the old days. So it looks better because we're only watching the good stuff, So
yeah, I think that's true, because that's what people would keep talking about.
Right. No one's going to keep talking about the horrible things unless it's so horrible that it's confusing, like the holiday special, like where it's so bad you're trying to wonder how this exists. I don't know. I just ascribe it to cocaine and a money grab. They thought, oh, Star Wars is big. We'll make a holiday special and get some good TV ratings.
Yeah, I think for sure it was a money grab. Let's see. Antonio said Casablanca and It's a Wonderful Life, and put thumbs up and the okay sign.
Yeah, I only saw Casablanca once. I remember it being good, but I don't remember it. Like I just remember, okay, that was a good movie. Some of those old classics I've seen, and they didn't strike me as great as I thought they were. Some have blown me away. So it's a mixed bag, and there's no accounting for taste, right? I mean, it's a good movie. It doesn't mean I have to like it. Like I saw one, The Third Man by Orson Welles, supposed to be this amazing movie. Dude, I found that so fucking boring. So boring. And I'd heard forever that The Third Man was like this cinema classic, whatever. And I wanted to go to sleep watching that thing. I thought it was terrible. I hate to say that because, but it's my truth. It's the truth.
But then It's a Wonderful Life was your favorite movie.
It's Wonderful Life is probably my favorite movie, yeah.
Yeah. Courtney says, I'm obsessed with movies and TV from the 50s and 60s. One of my guilty pleasures are the beach party movies with Frankie Avalon and Annette Funicello.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I haven't seen too many of those. My Aunt Martha got obsessed with that back in the 60s. And I had talked to her parents, my grandparents, about having her 16th birthday as a beach party in California. They got to understand, they lived in Colorado. And the way the family lore goes is it sort of halfway got like, yeah, we'll see if we can do it. And then it never happened. And she was always very bitter about it. But I don't think they outright said yes, but it was just kind of like I think on the one end to the grandparents, it was just a casual conversation. And to the teenager, it was a very serious conversation. And she wanted to have this beach party.
It sounds like they didn't outright say no either.
Right. It was just like, that's why I'm saying, like, they think you're saying one thing and someone else is saying something else and you don't realize it, like what they mean, how serious they're being about it. So.
Yeah, the mom says, I think how old movies can be so good with puppets and paint for special effects and better than CGI is amazing. Wizard of Oz, Planet of the Apes.
Sure. The Planet of the Apes stuff, that is, what's that, like 50 something years old now, 60 something, some of those still holds up. I think Star Wars still holds up, the 77 and 80. I think that still holds up for the most part. I don't think it looks bad, you know.
The Sound of Music is awesome.
Never seen it. Never seen it. I know what it is. I've just never seen it. I saw Audrey Hepburn in the last 2 weeks. Never really seen her movies before. One of the most beautiful actresses of all time. Her and Grace Kelly, I think, are the top two most beautiful. But she was great in Roman Holiday. She was great in Charade. I thought Charade was her best that I saw. Didn't like Breakfast at Tiffany's as much. I thought it was good, but I just thought it was good. I didn't think it was, I mean, it's an Oscar-winning movie, I believe, but I don't know why. I just thought it was fine. Breakfast at Tiffany's was fine. She's annoying in that movie. It's very, it was written from the perspective, and I don't know Dalton Trumbo, the writer. I don't know anything about him, but it was very much written from the perspective of a beta male that would put up with anything from a woman. And I didn't like her. She was too much of a free spirit, hippy dippy, do whatever I want, lie to everybody. I didn't like that about her in that movie. So that was annoying. And then who was the Irish guy that played the Japanese fella in that movie? That was insane. Andy Rooney.
No, Rourke.
No, Andy Rooney.
Oh, sorry.
And he had his eyes taped and he had the buck of teeth. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And, I'm not woke. I'm not a feminist. I'm not politically correct. But I wouldn't have done that. That was insane. That was totally nuts for him to play a very racist version of a Japanese dude. That was very weird.
Oh, Mickey Rooney.
What'd I say? Andy Rooney?
Yeah.
Who's Andy Rooney? There is an Andy Rooney. I don't know who that is then.
We got about just a few minutes left. Ramdog says, I taught a film class to sixth graders. Their favorite movie, Casablanca. Their second favorite, Gojira in Japanese.
Oh, wow. I want to love Godzilla. The new Warner Brothers Godzilla, I think I was talking about this, is terrible. The new Godzillas of the last 10 years, don't like them at all. But that Godzilla -1 or -0 or whatever the hell it's called, great movie.
Yeah, that one was good.
Yeah, really good. Really, and it's funny. The best part of that Godzilla -0 or whatever the hell it's called is the human aspect. The human story of that is really well done. So yeah, I thought that was great. I hope those same people that made that Godzilla make another one. Because that was a good one.
707 says, Gabe and Mrs. Altave watch Babes in Toyland with granddaughter, if it's okay with mom.
Go watch Babes in Toyland.
I've heard of it. I have no idea what it is.
Is that like a fairy tale, like a kind of a Christmassy thing or something like that?
Not sure.
What time is it?
It is 12 exactly.
Oh, it's 12. Then we got to go. Straight up 12 o'clock.
The mob seat said Andy Rooney, the 60 Minutes guy.
Oh, I wonder if they're related. I wonder if they're brothers or cousins or just a coinkydink there. Andy Rooney, 60 Minutes. That's right. And then Mickey Rooney is taping his eyes to be Asian. Not you won't find someone less woke than me. And I'm like, wow, that's okay. Okay, I guess so. That's something. Okay, guys, go to bigmancomics.com. Get Dean Cain All-American Lawman Volume 1. You're going to love it. If you don't have it, order it. If you already have it, I'm not going to stop you from ordering another copy. Get a t-shirt while you're there. Imperium is done. It's off to the printer. I'm going to get some proof copies back. We're going to check those out. Tyrus, as you can see right here in front of you, is on page 93 out of 125. And then I'm doing a military thriller next. I got a lot of stuff coming. Thank you guys all for making it possible. Thank you for making it happen. Follow me on TikTok. What am I on TikTok? I'm Big Man Comics 1 or something. I got a TikTok account. I'll put a link on my other social media to my TikTok. I need to grow that. I don't have any followers on TikTok. I just made the account like yesterday, the day before. On X, I'm Big Man Comics. YouTube, obviously, you're already here. Make sure you like and subscribe and share. That's what I need from you guys. All of you watching, share this out right now. Let's grow the channel. Let's make it better. Let's make it more fun. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow, every Monday through Friday. I will be here 11 to noon Pacific, drawing live and talking to you guys. All right, talk to you later. Bye-bye.